Oye, a mí no me engañáis, que cuando estáis ahí detrás decís, es que somos muy serios. Pues luego en todas las fotos, en todos los vídeos estos maravillosos, estáis todos sonriendo. O sea, ¿sabéis y se puede? Que no os dé tanto miedo, que luego, bueno, de hecho yo mañana daré chuches al que más se ría o no, aparte de que al equipo de teatro de Soto se han ganado el Happy Hippo. Vamos con la siguiente mesa, que estamos ya en la recta final de esta primera jornada. Y el cuadro que se ha elegido es el más famoso, yo creo, o el que más representa la obra de Edward Hooper, del americano, que lo hizo en 1942, se llama los Nighthawks. Bueno, vosotros no os lo tengo que traducir, pero por si hay alguien como yo, lo tuve que buscar. Digo, los zombies, no, los noctámbulos. Tú ves esta historia, tú ves este cuadro y dices, cada uno va a su bola, que por un momento piensas, fue como premonitorio. 1942, no existían las redes sociales y cada uno en la barra a su bola. Ojo. Entonces, de repente, pienso, si es que no dan punta sin hilo en este Open, ¿cómo no va a ser este el cuadro de la siguiente mesa si se va a hablar de seguros y la financiación de terceros, que hasta yo más o menos entiendo que eso no sé cómo casa, cómo viven? ¿Vosotras qué opináis, chicas? Uy, se la frunce el ceño. Hombre, normal, con los años que tienen a ellas los de los seguros, pues como que no les motiva, ¿sabes? Todo tiene una edad. Que, por cierto, ¿cómo ha cambiado el mundo de los seguros? Por ejemplo, en el mundo de los coches, yo me acuerdo cuando era pequeña que te montabas en el SEAT de tu padre, estabas atrás, ibais 7, veías a la Guardia Civil y el único seguro era escondeos. Y ahora ya todo el mundo parece que entiende de seguros. Antes te decían un siniestro y yo pensaba que era pues gente del heavy, ¿sabes? O lo de la prima de riesgo, digo, sí, mi prima en agosto, en Navidades también puede perder un poquito el norte. Ahora todo el mundo controla. Pero lo vuestro evidentemente es distinto y tenemos que saber hasta dónde llega el tema del seguro y dónde empieza la financiación de terceros. Y evidentemente toda esa información va a venir de la mano de los expertos Munía, el Harti, Counsel de EUS, AEQUITAS y el equipo. El aplauso, por favor, es para ellas. Ellos, ya no sé cómo se dice, para los tres.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the universe of Edward Hopper. The title is Nighthawks, as was said. Late night dinner, 4 protagonists, a lady in red, a gentleman to her right, having a discussion. My perception is that the lady in red is Christiane Deniger, Senior Director at Burford Capital based in London, and to her right, our insurer today, Fernando Gragera, Director at AEQUITAS. So let's start the dialogue, shall we? Can you both tell us, and Christiane first, because ladies first, about the fertile market in Spain for arbitration, financing and insurance, litigation, particular enforcement, and touching upon class actions?
Yeah, of course. But firstly, I want to say thank you to Javier and the Open for having me back. This is my 5th Open now, and I promise eventually I'll do it in Spanish.
I've been so rude, I didn't say thank you to Javier. Thank you, Javier.
But as Patrick Purcell said this morning on the first panel, Spain has long been a very important destination for arbitration, in particular international arbitration. In the last few years, though, we've seen a marked increase of commercial arbitration as between Spanish companies in Spain or international companies choosing Madrid as the seat of arbitration. And this is really good news, as we're seeing perhaps less involvement of other usual destinations. I'm happy to see the increase here. And we're very present in the market in terms of funding these claims. Now, alongside the increase of commercial arbitration, we're seeing a marked increase in class actions and group actions, normally in Madrid, but not exclusively so. And because of the size and scope of these claims, they fit well within the funding sphere. And Burford is well capitalized and experienced in this domain. But going back to some of the earlier panels today, it's really the asset recovery and enforcement side of things that are really seeing a vast jump in terms of business for litigation funders. As the first panel alluded to, it's that which is the most difficult part of any claim, even once you've won the case, is to actually get the assets. So having people who are across the world experienced in the asset recovery and enforcement sphere is really a good thing. And then for some claimants, we can just monetize their awards, and that is a very popular thing in Spain.
Absolutely. Fernando?
Well, thank you, Munía. Well, thank you to the Open de Arbitraje, Javier, Sonia, Peyo, and the team. Javier convinced me this year to speak in English. He told me, Fernando, please, it's only 20 minutes. I accepted. So, well, I'll be quick. Well, basically, just a quick intro, because I think like litigation insurance, arbitration insurance is something relatively new, at least in Spain. It is basically insurance policies, not the ones that Sarah mentioned before, like the traditional ones relating to cars and so on, but probably more sophisticated insurance policies designed to protect risks relating to actual or threatened litigation or arbitration. So how it translates to arbitration proceedings? We can cover, for example, the risk of adverse costs, the risk of an award being annulled, the risk of default by sovereign states, and so on. Okay? The origin of this practice is basically M&A transactions in which detected, identified legal contingencies were outside the scope of W&I insurance, warranties and indemnities. So there was a demand to cover these contingencies to unblock M&A transactions, avoiding escrow accounts, avoiding reduction of prices, and so on. And it evolves up to a point in which these insurance solutions don't need to be related to an M&A or other asset transaction. Spain is a fertile market. I'm going to that. I will say that up to maybe 1.5, 2 years ago, only occasionally were risks insured, and mainly driven by litigation funders that already were familiar with these solutions and actively went to the London market to seek insurance. But now on, and probably this is a big part of this merit is Aons, that had the visibility of hiring some professionals, experts in litigation, and ex-litigation funders in several European countries other than the UK, so to develop actively this practice. Class actions and arbitration are probably, class actions for sure, the most developed field in relation to litigation insurance, because and the most in-demand product, I will say, that is ATE, adverse cost insurance, because funders, for example, are a clear client of these solutions, because sometimes it is more cost-effective to pay the premium of an insurance instead of having to reserve the capital. Sometimes also in class actions or collective claims, as you know, we don't have class actions yet, but in Spain. But also claimants, normally request in this kind of claims to have the risk of cost cover. And I will say that arbitration, very quickly, it has not been probably the primary focus of these kinds of insurance solutions, mainly because in the UK and the US, they have focused more on their core proceedings. But now I think that there is a trend that is starting to shift, and we are seeing every time more and more arbitration opportunities, mainly in relation to arbitral hours default and hour annulment, I would say.
Thank you, Fernando. So now let's get to demystify, and this was our somewhat challenging question to nuance some things. So the first elephant in the room, so to say, the PACCAR decision, P-A-C-C-A-R, from the UK Supreme Court, for those that know it, in 2023, was a decision that essentially qualified LFAs, litigation funding agreements, as damage-based agreements, and therefore questioning the enforceability of those agreements in the UK. So Christiane, can you tell us if this applies outside of the UK? And it's a rhetoric question because no.
Yeah, I mean, for any claims outside of the UK where London is not the seat of the arbitration or it's not to be litigated in England, it has no bearing. It's a storm in the teacup for everyone outside of that jurisdiction and shouldn't even be bothered to be considered with. The only thing as a funder I would say is my funding agreement would not have London as its seat of arbitration anymore. I might use Madrid or Paris or Geneva.
We love to hear that. And then Fernando, this is also tiny elephant in the room for insurers. So in September 2024, there's been somewhat of a moratorium from certain insurers that do not wish to insure clients that are resorting to litigation funding in the United States. Can you tell us what's the panorama here?
Yeah, well, there is an ongoing debate regarding what we call social inflation. That is basically the rise of insurance claims that some critics are arguing that it is caused between other players by litigation funders that basically are funding claims that in the end are making insurers to pay more money. This is like explaining it in very basic terms. So there are some traditional insurers that have taken stand against litigation funders. But I will say that it is not having like a huge impact because the insurers that normally insure litigation or arbitration risks are different than those that insure these kinds of litigation or arbitration risks. And in any event, I would like to make clear that it is not affecting at all in Europe or in Spain because, well, the systems are totally different, the legal cost regimes are different, cultural factors, economic factors. Litigation funding is less developed, and in conclusion, insurers are much less exposed here than in the US.
Thank you. So this is a great segue into how do you both work hand in hand? So Christiane, how do you resort to insure the claims in your portfolio? And Fernando, right after, how and when do you work with either clients that use funding or counsel?
Yep, so that depends on what type of insurance we're getting, because Burford does have its own captive ATE provider that is only used really for litigation in England and Wales. So for any other product, we would be coming to someone like Fernando, and that would be after the event insurance, or more particularly, if we were looking on making a more risky investment and we're worried about overall enforcement, we might either obtain capital protection insurance, so that would be insuring just our commitment, so that we'll say $10 million in legal fees, or we would look to award protection insurance, and you can get that at any time of your claim, either before or after, the main difference being price. I have yet to use that, but hopefully we can do something at some point.
Sure.
Fernando?
Happy for me? Anytime. Well, I would say that there are like cases in which a client is interested only in funding or monetizing, normally when they need cash. There are other cases in which client is interested only in insurance, for example, when they are defendants or potential defendants. But most of the cases, in the great majority, we work hand in hand. So to a client of a broker that is a litigation funder, the products that Christiane mentioned, I will highlight probably capital protection because it's also a good way to raise capital for smaller funders, to lower their cost of capital. ATE, of course. And we are starting to see more and more cases in which funders that have in mind monetizing an award are coming to us to check whether the case is insurable and they can offer a higher price on the condition that the case gets insured. Apart from that, regarding clients who are users of third-party funding and work also with us, ATE, of course, the obvious solution. And apart from that, we are also seeing some opportunities of clients who insure to monetize their judgments or awards once they are insured. So it is kind of also a new thing. And of course, the basic referrals in which we act as partners and work together in this kind of deals.
Thank you. And then we're getting to our more artistic question. This is a panel we wanted to talk about the art. And my question to you, I already said what my perception was, but who are you in this painting and what does it evoke for you?
So you and I have a very similar view in that I am the lady in red in that photo. I should have worn red today to emulate that. But instead of the person sat next to me being Fernando, that is the claimant looking to get funding. In when I talk about funding, I generally say that it's like a marriage and not a fling. So you're together for the long haul. And that image there evokes to me people who will be together for a while. Now, Fernando's the guy, one of the two other guys. I'm not sure which yet. I'll let him
He
tell
will
you.
tell us.
Yeah.
Fernando, who
Yeah.
are you?
Okay. Well, to me, Christiane is obviously the lady in red. I agree that the man with the hat next to the lady is the client that is looking for funding. And I see myself in that picture as the waiter, like the insurance broker, which is advising to the clients and the funder, well, the best products, the best solution, guiding them, advising them, serving them a good plate of Iberian ham, like the one that we have eaten before in the break, and well, delivering or trying to deliver at least value-added services to the funder and the claimants or defendants, but to the party to the arbitration.
So no one said who the other guy is. Is he the respondent?
So I have, for me, the observer is you guys in the room today.
Counterparty.
Yeah.
Exactly. Could be. So this closes our short debate and discussion today. And I hope it helped you think differently, or for those that are already familiar with third-party funders and insurers. As you said, it's been 1.5 years or so that this is more predominant in Spain comparatively to common law jurisdictions. And I personally, as counsel, have had very good relationships with both. I think it's a lot of added value as well, especially with sophisticated funders and sophisticated insurers, and added value for the clients. So with this, I'll let you reflect. And at the end of the day, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? So thank you all for listening to us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right on time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Munía, Christiane, Fernando. He entendido sobre todo lo de portfolio. Cuando has dicho portfolio, ahí ya he empezado a hilvanar, más o menos bien. Pero Fernando, claro, la has liado, porque tú has dicho que eres el camarero, ¿no? ¿Sabes que ahora toca el café? ¿Te pasamos la comanda de todos?
I'm ready to serve.
Eso lo he entendido, que es capaz de ponerlo, pero nos vamos a ir con un chiste malo. ¿Sabéis cómo se va un barrendero a tomar café? Pues se va riendo. Un aplauso al chiste malo, en 20 minutos nos vemos y a ellos tres, por favor. Os acompaño, venid por aquí.